Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 87, Fit to be Tied. The episode begins with Ash and the gang riding Lapras across the ocean on the way to the next island, and Tracy comments on how fast Lapras was going, and as if on cue, Lapras going fast causes Pikachu to fall off, but thankfully, Ash is able to catch it just in time, as it instructs Lapras to maybe start slowing down a bit. Tracy then reveals that the next island that was closest by was known as Mekon Island, and not only did it have the first of the 4 Orange Archipelago gyms on it, but it also had a restaurant, which was what he was primarily excited by, as he was starving. Ash was excited by the gym most though, and he told Lapras to go full speed, so that they could get there as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Team Rocket was spying on Ash and the gang and Lapras through their new sub, which was actually a Magikarp sub this time, as opposed to their Gyarados sub. There was really no difference though, they had the same interior. Anyways, Jesse's like, yo, we gotta speed up, as Ash had sped up and they were falling behind. But Meowth and James were actually too tired to go even at the normal speed, and this caused the Magikarp sub to begin sinking. Jessie gets mad at them and physically abuses them with her fan as motivation for them to start pedaling again, and they do, not wanting to get abused anymore, and they all pedal as hard as they can to speed up. However, the pedals then suddenly jam, revealing that the submarine was stuck in seaweed. Great. This caused the sub to sink once more, meaning that Team Rocket had lost track of Ash and the gang, who had now arrived at Mekon Island, with Ash instantly recalling Lapras into its Pokeball as soon as they arrived, and heading to the Pokemon Center nearby, which didn't look nearly as tropical as the last islands. But anyways, as soon as he gets to the Pokemon Center, he decides to call Professor Oak and inform him of how he caught a Lapras. After Oak checks up on how they were doing, of course, and also questions who the fuck Tracy was, as he had never seen him before. Well, I guess he had seen him during the original call, but he didn't say anything, so that probably made Oak think he was weird as fuck. Tracy introduces himself to clear any suspicions, and he immediately can't contain his love for Professor Oak, as he states everything that he knew about him, and how much he admired him, essentially gassing him up for all of his work that was so similar to a Pokemon watcher's. Before Tracy can continue to gas Oak up anymore, Muck comes up to Oak and does his classic smother move, like he did to Ash at the end of his battle at the League, forcing Oak to have to hang up the computer, and leading Ash and the gang to leave the Pokemon Center and look for the first Orange League gym. As for Tracy's food that he wanted, let's just say that he got it at the Pokemon Center and move on. Or hell, maybe he was too preoccupied by being interested in Professor Oak, as even as they left the Pokemon Center and walked through the forest on the way to the gym, Tracy couldn't stop talking about Professor Oak, and how he couldn't believe that Ash and Misty actually knew him. He keeps yapping to the point where Ash gets annoyed, and he's like, yo, okay, I get it, you love Professor Oak and you want to suck his dick, but I'm curious where the gym is. Do you know where it is? And do you know anything about the gym leader? Tracy reveals that the only thing they knew about the gym leader was that she was supposedly the toughest one of them all. So we were going to do the toughest one first, huh? Alright. Ash was excited by this, as he wanted a challenge, so he eagerly ran, and eventually spotted the gym, which just made him run even faster. He obviously wasn't that determined to get to the gym, though, as he stops when he sees a coconut. What's so interesting about seeing a coconut on a tropical island, bro? Anyways, I guess he was interested, as he goes to pick it up, but when he does, this causes a whole bunch of water to pour down on him from the tree, as it was revealed that this was a trap, set by a little boy named Senta, who proceeds to use a rope to climb down the tree that he had been hiding in. He laughs at Ash when he comes down, revealing that the reason why he set the trap in the first place was because he had saw Ash's Pokemon League battles and how he lost in the top 16, and therefore he thought that he was a weak-ass trainer and wanted to toy with him a little bit. Ash simply rebuttals that he wasn't weak, not wanting to put up with a little kid, but then the little kid asks him to prove it by beating him in a battle. Ash accepts, wanting to put this little bitch in his place, but the battle is then interrupted before it can begin by a mysterious woman. The woman reveals herself as the boy's older sister, and immediately scolds him for trying to set a fucking trap, and demands that he go clean his room as punishment. The brother reluctantly obliges, and Ash proceeds to ask the woman about if she knew where the gym leader was, leading her to reveal that she was more than just a sister, but the gym leader herself, Sissy. As Ash eagerly requests a battle with her, Tracy proceeds to draw her in his notebook, much to Misty's annoyance, as she likely thought that he was as obsessed with women as Brock, but no one could be as obsessed with women as Brock. Ash and the gang then go inside the gym with Sissy and her brother, who had seemingly finished cleaning his room by this point, to begin the gym battle. Sissy instructs Ash to only send out one Pokemon, which confuses him, as gym battles were supposed to be 3-on-3 battles. Sissy clarifies, though, that those were only the gym battles in Kanto and various other regions, not the Orange Archipelago. The Orange Archipelago gym battles each had distinct challenges, and they were mostly only done with one Pokemon. Ash further inquired about these unique challenges, with Sissy basically explaining that the gym battles actually weren't battles, but they were just tasks that you had to do, with hers being accuracy-related tasks. These tasks were essentially meant to test a Pokemon's skills without having them battle. She then instructs her brother to reveal the first of her accuracy challenges as he presses a button, which causes the floor to turn into a pool and a row of cans to appear on the side of the wall. Sissy then sends out her one Pokemon, being a Seadra, revealing that she was a water-type specialist, and Ash proceeds to scan the Seadra on his Pokedex as it sprays him in the face with Water Gun, revealing that the first challenge was going to be a Water Gun challenge that essentially involved a trainer having to knock down as many cans as they could with accurate water guns. As Ash contemplates which one of his Pokemon to send out, as if there was really any other option, he only has one fucking water type aside from Lapras, Seadra decides to get some practice in by having Sissy's brother blow a whole bunch of bubbles and popping them all with its water gun, showing how accurate it was. Ash obviously goes with his Squirtle, and the gym battle begins, or I guess not gym battle, but gym challenge. Sissy confidently states that there was no way that Squirtle could beat her Seadra, even though she admitted that Squirtle did look powerful. As Seadra proceeded to use its water gun and successfully knock down half of the lined up cans. Squirtle then made its entrance and also managed to knock down the other half of the cans, also in the same time period, and making it a tie. During the challenge, Psyduck had forcefully come out of its Pokeball for some reason, likely because it wanted to use Water Gun as well. However, it quickly noticed the GS ball in Ash and Misty's bags, and proceeded to play with it by bouncing it on its head and shit, and this pissed Misty off as she grabbed the GS ball back. Sissy then clarifies that in order to break the tie of the can situation, the challenge was now going to change to having to hit discs out of the sky with Water Gun. Sissy then instructs her brother to push the button for a second time, and this time, the button drops yet another wall of the gym, revealing the beach outside, as well as a disc launcher. The brother then presses the button a third time as the first disc begins to launch, and Seadra takes it out with a water gun with ease. It continues to do the same to a numerous amount of other discs, and this causes Tracy to get impressed with it as he sketches it in his notebook. Seadra ends his performance by destroying 3 discs at once, and diving back into the water in celebration, as it had managed to hit every single disc. Squirtle didn't let itself get shown up, though, as it proceeded to also destroy all of the discs. This leads Sissy to suggest they do a tiebreaker for the tiebreaker, being that her brother would launch one final disc, and whichever Pokemon was able to hit the disc first would win. Ash accepts the challenge, and the brother then launches out the disc, with Squirtle and Seadra both firing Water Gun at the same time, meaning that they hit at the same time. This just makes the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker also a goddamn draw. So, they need to do a tiebreaker for a tiebreaker for a tiebreaker. Holy fuck, that's annoying. Having constant ties annoys the Seadra to the point where it now refuses to battle in the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker, and Squirtle, on the other hand, was not annoyed, but happy as Ash picked it up to congratulate it on doing such a good job so far, despite it not winning. Everyone then goes outside to the beach to begin the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker, which was a Pokemon wave ride, as Sissy called it. She then explained the rules, which was essentially each trainer's Pokemon had to ride out to a buoy out in the distance, and whoever touched this buoy first and then returned back won. So it was literally just a race. That was it. Ash decides to use his Lapras for this, as opposed to his Squirtle, as the Lapras definitely had better surfing capabilities, and Sissy, knowing that she couldn't use her Seadra due to Seadra quitting due to anger, used her Blastoise instead. Sissy's brother was about to sound the horn, indicating that the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker for the tiebreaker would finally fucking begin, but surprise, surprise, Team Rocket show up in their Magikarp sub, much to Ash and the gang's annoyance, especially as they do their motto, which Misty is especially annoyed by, complaining about how boring it was. As for Sissy's reaction to hearing the motto for the first time, that's right, we actually get to hear a side character's reaction to the motto. She immediately questions Ash on what the fuck it was even about, as, like, we just know it's a motto, like, it really doesn't even mean anything. And Ash basically says this, saying that he didn't even know after hearing it all these times, saying he just got used to it, like he couldn't have an episode without the Team Rocket motto. Despite no one enjoying it, Team Rocket go on with their motto, to the point where they almost run out of breath and die. Man, I wish they did, but they do stop their motto in time. Ash then proceeds to make fun of how bad Team Rocket's motto was, telling him to go the fuck away, which makes James extremely sad, as he argued that he worked so hard to get the Magikarp sub untangled from all the seaweed, just so that they could come up and try and steal Ash's Pikachu, and now Ash was rejecting him. Ash questions what the fuck he was talking about, with James revealing how he had got the Magikarp sub unstuck from all the seaweed. He stated that he was forced to because he lost a game known as Odd Fingers. Now, I don't know what Odd Fingers is. Does it mean, like, whoever has the weirdest fingers, and that's why James lost, because he had the most normal ones? Because, I mean, he was going up against the Meowth? I don't know. Anyways, because of the loss, he was forced to go clean out the weeds, and when he did, it made the sub rise, which was a good thing, right? Well, yes, but that meant that James was being left behind, so he had to swim as fast as he could to catch up with it, almost drowning in the process, because he almost couldn't make it back up. James tries to explain to Ash and the gang how traumatic this was for him, but Meowth just tells him to shut the fuck up and quit whining, reminding him that they had a job to do, which was to steal not only Pikachu, but Blastoise and Lapras as well. James seemingly manages to get over his trauma quick, as he sends out his wheezing and has it use smog as usual, which creates a cloud of smoke, which blinds Ash and the gang and Sissy and her brother, which leaves the Blastoise vulnerable to a net that Team Rocket launches from their Magikarp sub. Team Rocket are initially disappointed by this, as they wanted to catch both Blastoise and Lapras, but the net wasn't big enough and they just accepted this and moved down into the water, pedaling as fast as they could, attempting to get away, pulling Blastoise in the net behind them. However, Team Rocket then realized that their sub was still entangled in some seaweed, which James remembers was because due to him almost drowning, he had decided to give up on removing all the seaweed, only removing some of it. This leads Jessie to get pissed off as she puts all her force into the petals, trying to forcefully break free from the seaweed, but the force just ends up breaking the petals, rendering Team Rocket unable to do anything as their Magikarp sub sinks to the very bottom of the seafloor, with Blastoise sinking down with them. Team Rocket initially just sit there, completely fucking depressed and done with their bad luck, when Meowth comes up with the idea to simply go out and give the sub a push back up to the surface. When they go out to do this, though, they're immediately confronted by the Blastoise, who was able to get back up despite still being in the net, due to its weight and mass being too much for the net. So, Blastoise is able to swim back up to the surface, bringing Team Rocket with him, since the net was still tied to the Magikarp sub. Blastoise returned to the beach with so much force that it was able to break free through the net and disconnect itself from Team Rocket, who were now alone and vulnerable on their Magikarp sub. Ash takes the opportunity to have Pikachu dip its tail into the water and use Thundershock, which means that the Thundershock is able to spread onto Team Rocket through the water, since water conducted electricity, sending Team Rocket blasting off with the help of Blastoise's Hydro Pump. With Team Rocket finally gone for the episode, Ash and Sissy can start the race. They then get on the shells of their respective Pokemon, and Sissy's brother sounds the alarm, which signifies that the race had officially begun. And when it does, Lapras and Blastoise, much like Squirtle and Seadra, are evenly matched, and they can't seem to get a leg on one another, even as they both proceeded to try and attack each other as they raced, nudging each other on their sides. Eventually, though, the Blastoise's nudge is able to overpower Lapras's, and it results in Ash almost falling off, so Lapras has to stop and pick Ash up in its mouth and lift it back onto its back, so that the race can continue, but the stop had allowed Blastoise to take the lead, managing to win the first half of the race as it circles around its buoy. Lapras is quickly able to catch up, though, fortunately, and they're once again evenly matched as the race was almost over. Just then, though, a huge-ass tidal wave appeared and threatened to knock down both Sissy and Blastoise and Ash and Lapras. It does knock down Sissy and Blastoise, although Blastoise is able to quickly pick up Sissy and put her back on his back. But it doesn't slow down Ash and Lapras whatsoever, as Lapras was able to use Ice Beam on the tidal wave, freezing it in its tracks. Despite Ash and Lapras facing less of a disturbance, though, Sissy and Blastoise were still able to somehow take the lead. Thankfully, after Lapras used Ice Beam, this gave Ash an idea to use the Ice Beam in a different way, being to freeze the remainder of the water that they had to travel on and turn it into ice. Lapras then climbed onto this ice, and being on the ice as opposed to water made it slip and go faster. Due to this speed increase, it was able to not only catch up to Blastoise, but just barely win the race, literally by its nose. That's how close it was. Lapras was going so fast, though, that when it arrived back on shore, it immediately sent Ash flying accidentally into a tree. However, Ash quickly recovered as Sissy then arrived at shore as well, and proceeded to congratulate him on successfully beating her, complimenting his Ice Beam strategy that he used with Lapras, and stating how she now knew why Ash had made it as far as he did in the Pokemon League. So she was impressed with his top 16 placement, and her brother wasn't? As a reward for beating her, Ash of course gets her gym badge, which is actually a shell, known as the Coral Eye Shell. Sissy explains that all of the Orange League badges were shells. Ash then proceeds to cheer in joy. He had done it. He had got his first badge, and he actually got it legitimately as well. Having nothing left to do on Mekon Island, Ash and the gang said goodbye to Sissy and her brother and proceeded to get back on Lapras and head for the next island. Ash and Misty were bickering as usual, likely due to the fact that Ash had actually managed to win his first badge legitimately, unlike in the Kanto League, and this bickering was swiftly ended, though, with Tracy showing his completed sketch of Sissy to try and cheer them up. However, when Misty saw that Tracy had just been sketching Sissy for the majority of the time, and not, a Pokemon like he was supposed to, being a Pokemon watcher, this just led her to get pissed off, once again thinking of Brock and how Tracy seemed to be as obsessed with woman as he did. Ash just laughs at Tracy's sudden desperation for woman, and they all continue on Lapras to the next island.